Let's start setting up our database. We will be using MySQL and Sequelize, which is an ORM for node.js. First, let's create a new project directory, which we will call GraphQL Forum API. And cd into it. And run npm init. Now, we can install Sequelize, the Sequelize CLI and other dependencies. Since we are using MySQL as our database, we need to install the MySQL driver as well. Then lastly, Dot Emv, which will allow us to make use of environment variables. Once that is done installing, we can make use of the CLI to bootstrap a new project. Then init. The CLI has created some folders and files for us, which we will go through as we progress in the course. For now, let's open our project in our preferred code editor. I will be using Visual Studio Code. Among the folder that was created for us by the CLI is the config folder, which contains a config.json file. Because we want to make use of environment variables inside the config file, we need to rename it to config.js. Because we have changed the config file from JSON to JavaScript, we need to make the Sequelize CLI aware of this. We can do that by creating a .sequelize-orm file in our project root. .sequelize-orm. First, we will pull in the path module. Then we export an object. Then using the path module, we point to the new file. Now we can update the config.js file. As you can see, we have different settings for different environments. And because we want to always read from our environment variable, we'll get rid of all this. Then pull in the .env package. Then we'll create an object to hold our database details. This should be process.env.db _ username. I'm going to duplicate this a couple of times. This will be password, and this will be password. This database, this DB name, the host, then this will be the dialect, DB dialect. So let's get rid of this. Now we can export a single object, which will contain our environments, which are development, and production. This way, no matter the environment we are, our database details will always be fetched from the environment variables. Before we wrap up this lesson, since we are using the .env package to read our database details from environment variables, We need to create a .env file that will hold our environment variables. We'll create it in the root of our project, .env. First, we'll define the node environment, which will be development, then db dialect, which will be MySQL, db host, which will be local host, db username, which in my case is root, db password, which in my case is blank, then lastly db name. I have already created a database for this course, which I call GraphQL-forum. Before we wrap up this lesson, let's also update the index file in the models directory to point to the new config file name.